Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and in this video we will be taking a look at different web hosting providers and how can you actually choose the right web hosting provider for your needs. With so many different web hosting providers out there, it can get pretty confusing to look at all of these different features, all of these different pricing plans, what everything on this page even means, and that is exactly what we will be covering in this video. Now, the first thing that we need to look at is what are you actually planning on using your website for? For example, if you are planning to create a massive, huge e-com brand, you will need a very different set of hosting features to somebody who is creating a lovely wedding website that they are only going to share to their friends and family. The second thing, and this kind of ties into the first, is how much traffic are you planning on driving to that website? Having both of these things in mind help you not only determine which hosting provider will you go for, but within that hosting provider, which plan do you actually need? For example, if you are creating the small wedding website that we spoke about earlier, then this is only going to be a small website. A few images, maybe a couple videos. Like, this isn't going to be a huge website that takes up a ton of space. So going for a higher tier WPX plan like this would be crazy. You could easily go for a 10 to 15 gigabyte plan with a hosting provider like HostGator, and this would save you a lot of money. Whereas if you are building a massive e-commerce store, you're going to have a load of different products on there. You plan on driving thousands of clicks to this. If you choose that same 10 to 15 gigabyte plan, well, your hosting is going to break very, very quickly. So those are the two main things that you need to figure out. Realistically, if you're building a super small website, like the wedding website, a few images, a few videos, and things like this, then you will be fine going for a plan that is 10 gigabytes of SSD or under. With a mid-tier website, so something that takes up a medium amount of space, maybe like a blog or something like this, then in terms of SSD storage, anything from 10 to 30 gigabytes will be absolutely fine. And then for a bigger e-commerce store or something like this, that's going to take up a lot of data, then anything over 30 gigabytes will be pretty suffice. So that is what you need to look for on the side of storage space. However, there are a few other things that you need to be looking out for when choosing a hosting provider. Firstly, do you get a domain included with your plan? And this is something that a lot of first-time hosting buyers often overlook. And although domains are not super expensive, coming in at around $15 per year, you still want to make sure that you get one included with your hosting plan, just to drive that cost down a little bit more. Now, most of the major providers out there, like Hostinger, HostGator, Bluehost, you are going to get a free domain with your hosting if you go for the yearly plan or higher. However, with other hosting providers like AccuWeb, for example, you are just not going to get a free domain, no matter which plan you go for. Secondly, you want to make sure that the hosting provider that you go for has some kind of backup. With some plans, you will be able to get daily backups, which basically means you have a backup of your website that is saved every single day. And then with other plans, you will be able to get weekly backups, which is the exact same concept, but it's just saved once every week instead of once every day. Once again, this really comes down to personal preference. It depends on how often you are going to be making changes to your website. Now, if you are creating a blog, I would highly recommend going for a plan that has daily backups. Because imagine you are writing your blog for an entire week, and then at the end of that week, something goes wrong with your website, and you only have weekly backups. You lose an entire week's worth of work, and it's super frustrating. Ask me how I know. Another thing that you really want to look out for when choosing a hosting provider is if it has SSL. Now, this is not usually an issue, like most hosting providers out there will include SSL, but it's super important that they do, so you want to double check for this. SSL is this little padlock icon that you see on pretty much all websites, and if you don't have this, when people try to visit your website, they will be brought to a screen that looks like this, that says, hey, this website is not secure, it might be a scam, you don't want to go to this website. And then the final thing that I want to touch on is I wouldn't really recommend going for a hosting provider outside of the top 8 most popular hosting providers. These hosting providers are Hostinger, HostGator, Bluehost, DreamHost, WPX, InMotion, AccuHosting, and LiquidWeb. It's not to say that anything outside of these hosting providers is a scam or it's bad, but these top 8 are the most popular for a reason. I even took this a step further and checked out the reviews for all of these different hosting providers. I used this website called Trustpilot, which is a reviews website for pretty much all online services and websites. So I will assign the Trustpilot score that each of these got to all of these on screen now. So right here, you can now see a visual representation of the reviews and feedback that each of these hosting providers have. Finally, I will give my own personal opinion on which I think the best hosting provider is, the one that I use for all of my websites, all of my clients' websites, and the one that I used for creating all of the tutorials that I have created on this channel. So personally, no matter what I am creating, whether it's a car dealership website, an agency website, or a much smaller website like the wedding website we spoke about earlier, I would always go with Hostinger. Not only are they one of the cheapest hosting providers on the market, but their performance and back-end settings make this absolutely fantastic. If we go over to Hostinger right here, we can see they have 3 plans. And with this bottom one, the premium, we can see it says standard performance. So the obvious question that comes from that is standard performance, but I can see 5x and 10x. Does this mean that the standard performance is going to be slow? The answer to that is absolutely not. Like, try it yourself. The Hostinger standard performance is often better than most hosting providers' maximum performance. The reason for this is Hostinger's Lightspeed plugin, which they have been using since 2019. This comes with every plan, and having this turned on is essentially going to increase the performance of your website. We can even take this a step further by going into these optimization settings and choosing from one of these settings right here. If I just apply this, this is now going to make my website even faster than it was before. On top of this, Hostinger also offers some of the craziest features on even some of these cheaper plans. We can see 100 gigabytes of SSD storage. We can create 100 websites. We get weekly backups, free SSL, and everything that we need on just this cheapest plan right here. And the final tip that I will give you, this is the same with any hosting provider really, but with any of these, they are going to give you a big discount when you jump in for the first time. So as you can see here, let's just go with the business plan. We can add this to the cart. All of these plans, we have the discounted price, and then it's going to renew underneath at a higher price. This is going to be the same for Bluehost. As you can see, we get a discount and then it jumps up. It's going to be the same for HostGator or any of these. But what I always do is, if I know I'm going to have the website for a long time, I purchase the maximum amount of hosting, and this way I get the discount for the longest period of time, and it saves me a lot of money in the long run. This can be pretty scary to do for the first time, but especially with a hosting provider like Hostinger, they do have a 30-day money back guarantee. So for whatever reason, if you didn't like it, then you could just get your money back. And if you do want to get the best possible deals on Hostinger and save a massive amount on your hosting, you can do so using the top link in the description. Of course, that is an affiliate link, and if you do decide to purchase Hostinger through that link, then I will earn a small kickback at no extra cost to you. That is how this channel earns money, keeps the lights on, and allows me to create even more valuable content like this. So that is how you can choose the best hosting provider for your personal needs. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to smash that like button and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy.